What is up, everyone, and welcome to the Border City Kids. I hope you guys can hear me. What is up, everyone, and welcome to the Border City Kids. I hope we're working right now. Just getting a few things sorted out. We'll get this thing restarted here in a minute. You guys, we thank you for being here. Hopefully that should be working now. I think we are good to go. Okay, let's get this thing going. What is up, everybody, and welcome to the Border City Kids podcast. Today is Monday, February 2nd, 2026, and I am currently recording this while wearing 3 layers of wool and a parka in the middle of Florida. I'm not, but the Sunshine State is officially frozen. We're talking icicles on palm trees, frozen pools in Orlando, and temperatures that have Daytona Beach feeling like, yes, Detroit. If you haven't seen our thumbnail yet, yes, that's actually what it feels like out there. They hit freezing cold temperatures. And as if the Arctic blast wasn't enough, it's also Groundhog Day. We were all crossing our fingers. We were hoping for some good news from Gobbler's Knob this morning. And if you're like me in Ontario, Canada, you were waiting for Wiarton Willie to see what happened. Now, unfortunately, Punxsutawney Phil emerged at 7:25 a.m. He took one look around and decided that he saw his shadow, which means we have 6 more months of winter. But fortunately for us in Canada, Wiarton Willie did not see his shadow, so we have some conflicting reports on whether 6 more weeks of winter is going to occur or not. Now, either way, I have a feeling there's still 6 more weeks of winter, and by looking at the pattern for the next little while, it doesn't look too great. For those of you keeping score at home, that is officially 6 more weeks of winter, which we're probably going to have anyways. I'm pretty sure the collective groan from Florida could be heard all the way up from Pennsylvania. Phil has spoken, and he's basically telling us to keep the heaters running and the plants covered until at least mid-March. In today's episode, we are diving deep into the impossible weather situation that is currently taking place. We're looking at the temperature anomalies. We're going to see if we're going to be above average or below average over the next few weeks. I mean, right now it's literally colder in Tallahassee right now than it is in Wyoming in the USA. We'll talk precipitation, and we'll also take a look at those brutal wind chills that we're currently experiencing all the way from Jacksonville to Miami. And we'll give you the long-range outlook to see if we're ever going to be above 70 degrees again in Florida. So, grab your coffee, hopefully it's still hot, and let's get into this deep freeze. You're listening to the Border City Kids podcast, and I'm your host, Brian. Let's dive into it. So we are currently looking at the live radar shot right now, and just like yesterday, it is very similar, and the day before, there's not a lot of precipitation currently taking place in Canada and the USA. We still have that same storm off the west coast of Vancouver up in BC on Vancouver Island, and we have a line of thunderstorms that have formed down near Louisiana, Alabama, and Georgia, and pushing further south with the jet stream. So we are going to see colder temperatures again down further south near the Gulf Coast, well into Florida. We do see a bit of a pushback on the bottom or lower west half or portion of the United States. So we are trying to see a bit of a push with the temperatures. But if you're like me up in the Great Lakes region, it is still very, very cold out. And there's not too much in the way of weather coming. We have a few centimeters of snow coming here and there near the end of the week. We will see a strong dive from a cold front by Saturday, but other than that, there's not too much. So let's take a look at that line of thunderstorms that we are going to see right here, forming over Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia. And it's just a week. It's nothing to be too crazy about. I mean, it's just a little precipitation. We're not expecting anything crazy from this at all. So that's about it for that area right now. There will be warmer temperatures trying to push back against those freezing marks that they did put up. But here they are with some precipitation. At least it's not snow. So it's a bit of a break from the freezing cold temperatures that we've seen recently. These are the current watches and warnings out right now in the USA. Florida's still under that freeze watch. I mean, with the cold temperatures at night, we're probably going to see some colder temperatures dip down near that freezing point, and there's probably going to be a wind chill on top of that. We do have a few winter weather advisories in Michigan and also parts of Kentucky, West Virginia, and Virginia, and that's about it. The rest of the country, you can see, is pretty quiet right now. We do have a dense fog advisory out in California, but there's not too much going on in the way of active weather, at least for a little while. This graph right here, this is showing our temperature anomalies, whether or not we're going to be over or under seasonal temperatures. And once again, like the previous days, the western half of the countries of Canada and the US are dominated by over average or over seasonal temperatures. The Great Lakes region seems to be hounded with those below seasonal temperatures. And when we look at this radar right here, we do see that the cold temperatures seem to kind of dissipate, and then it's like almost reborn again. We see it kind of dissipate and then hard cold temperatures again right over the Great Lakes region. So it's almost like a second wind of that. And that's that lower eastern portion of the United States as well, experiencing those cold temperatures. And some of these temperatures are negative 20 to negative 30 degrees below seasonal than what you're currently used to. Up in Quebec, we see that the temperatures are about 20 or so degrees above average. Out west in Alberta, British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, you're experiencing well above seasonal temperatures. In the whole western half, like I said, even parts of Texas now are back into the over average or above seasonal temperatures. Nevada, California, Colorado, Washington, Oregon, North Dakota, South Dakota, I believe Nebraska's in there. So it's just that great divide that's still occurring right now, and it doesn't seem like there's an end anytime soon for that. Here are, if we take a look at the actual continent of North America, so if you're up in northern Canada, you can actually see that you have some above average temperatures right now, but those cold temperatures that we talked about in southeastern portion of the United States is almost blocked, and it's not really going anywhere. It doesn't really have anywhere to go. It's trapped by those above average temperatures. So we'll keep an eye on that. We will go over what the next 2 weeks looks like in the way of probabilities of being above average or lower when it comes to temperatures. There is a bit of hope at the end of the tunnel, I guess you could say. These are the actual temperatures that we're experiencing. Western half of the US is experiencing above average temperatures, and there's a lot of over freezing mark temperatures, and I'm sure they're happy about that. Up in northwestern Ontario, Manitoba, you have some very frigid temperatures. Remember, this is in Fahrenheit. This is not Celsius. So these temperatures are absolutely freezing, and it's kind of stuck around for a while. And most Canadians are actually kind of getting sick of this now. But it's just a continuation of the pattern that we cannot control. And that's what it looks like right now. Quebec is experiencing it. We see parts of Vancouver right around that freezing mark. Alberta's around the freezing mark as well, but there are some places actually getting above. There is actually a push. If you look at the southern portion of Alberta, they are getting into the 40s and 50s. So they will actually have some warmer temperatures. But that whole Great Lakes area, southwestern Ontario through northern Ontario, even Manitoba, you seem to be stuck in this block of cold weather that's just going to continue to dominate the area for at least 2 weeks. And these are some of the wind chills that we're looking at. And if we can look all the way down to Florida, you see that there are wind chills all the way down. So this is a jet stream that is pushed so far down and headed right into the southern portion of Florida. So this is not something we see often, but it does happen. It just depends on the polar vortex and what's disrupted. If there's a stratospheric warming event that's pushed cold air, it's made it fluctuate all the way down to the southern portion of the United States. It happens. I'm surprised we don't hear about it more often than we do. I mean, the last time we heard about this was last year in January, where the Gulf Coast did experience about 5 or 6 inches of snow. This is supposed to be a rare occurrence, but now it seems to be happening more and more often. And we do see by this weekend that there is more Arctic air coming down. It's going to be an Arctic blast. We're going to feel the cold, dry air, at least in the Great Lakes region, probably push down Pennsylvania, through Georgia and the Carolinas. It will be cold. I assume this is going to make it all the way down to Florida as well, and the Gulf Coast and the Panhandle. If we look at the 6 to 10 day temperature probability outlook, this is where things maybe start to look up, because it used to be just the western half of this map dominated by probable above average temperatures, starting to take over most of the US, about 2/3 of it. We still see that eastern third, I'd say, of the US dominated by cold temperatures. If you're in that New York, Pennsylvania region, Maine, New Hampshire, those are going to be the most under average in the next 6 to 10 days. We don't see much of a change, unfortunately, in the 2 weeks' time. Now, the good news is the probabilities of the colder regions seem to be much lower. And we do see most of the United States covered by that probability of being above average in temperatures. So there is a little bit of hope. The region that I'm in is currently looking to have near seasonal temperatures in 2 weeks' time, which we will certainly take in this time because it's been so cold. We also see the lowest portion of Florida just with the slightest probability of experiencing below average temperatures. When we take a look at the probability of precipitation in the central portion of the United States, we're seeing about seasonal. With the warmer temperatures out west, we kind of do want to see more of those precipitation-like areas. And with it being so cold in the east, it kind of just, shows a relationship between the cold weather and the chance of actually having precipitation. So there's not much going on out east. If you're in Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, North Carolina, parts of South Carolina and parts of North Carolina, it looks like you're going to be a little bit drier, at least for 10 days, but it does change up a bit with the 2 week outlook. So maybe we're going to see a pattern flip in the next 2 weeks. We'll have to keep an eye on it, but it's too far away to be too sure. We can only be sure really with what's happening in the next few days, but we keep an eye on it for now. This is the long range outlook right now for what we're looking at when it comes to precipitation in the next little while. Usually we only look at these and follow them for a couple days, because anything after that The chances of it actually happen aren't actually major, but they can give us something to keep an eye on, to look for any patterns or trends or warnings in the future that we might have to keep an eye on. So in the way of precipitation, I mean, there's nothing out of the ordinary. We do see a little bit of a storm pop up about almost midway through the month of February on the 12th. We're not exactly sure if that's going to cut through the mid portion of the states, if it's going to go a little bit north or a little bit south. It depends on that cold Arctic air, the power behind it, or the warm, moist air from the south in the Gulf of Mexico. We're going to see where that joins up, and that is going to be where our storms are going to take place. Now, right around the 5th or so in a couple days, we do see a huge dive of that ridge from the jet stream, and it does dive all the way down into Texas. So we are going to see some freezing temperatures again this weekend, I believe on Saturday, where your temperatures on Friday are going to be fairly warm, and then on Saturday you're probably going to feel a heavy drop. So we are going to see some freezing Arctic shots again this weekend. So if you need to get supplies or whatever you need for the weekend, get those on Friday. It does look to be a lot warmer on Friday than it will be on Saturday. Okay, we do see a lot of thunderstorms start to pop up in a few weeks near Florida. We'll see what happens with that. This is still a little bit too far out, but we do see a little bit more action with precipitation, so we'll have to keep an eye on it. As far as the temperature anomaly goes for the next little while, if you're in the Great Lakes region, it is not good news for you. You are most likely going to experience below average temperatures for the next 2 weeks. You got to hang in there. I think I said that yesterday. If you're in any portion of that southeastern part of the United States, you got to hang in there all the way up the east coast of the United States, because there isn't much hope. We do see another Arctic blast, like I said, by this weekend on the 7th and 8th of February. Keep an eye on that. We are seeing temperatures. If you're looking at the graph, we're seeing temperatures 28 degrees below average, 30 something degrees below average. I even saw 45 degrees below average. Now, the good news is, if you look in a week's time, we do see some temperatures actually go above. Like, we are going to experience warmer temperatures in that area. We'll see how long it lasts, but it does give us a little bit of hope. But anything past a week, we're not too certain about, because I have seen this fluctuate day to day. There was an Arctic blast heading down to Texas midway through February, but that has seemed to disappear a little bit. But we'll keep an eye on that for the next week. This is just a long range, just to hopefully give anyone hope who's experiencing temperatures that they don't like. Maybe it'll flip. These are the actual temperatures we'll experience in the next little bit, and it's just the same thing. The entire province of Ontario is covered by freezing cold temperatures. Most of Manitoba and Saskatchewan, northern Saskatchewan, will have freezing cold temperatures. Quebec and the Atlantic provinces will be experiencing cold temperatures as well. It's pretty much the same pattern over and over. Not too much is different on this. So that is what our future outlook looks. We do see a shot through the southern portion of Texas that kind of heads up through central United States. We do see some temperatures into the 50s and 60s. Florida even gets into some of that action in the 70s, but that's in a week's time. We'll have to follow that. The Gulf Coast looks pretty good. We see even places like Arkansas. We also see places like Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, South Carolina get into the action with some of those above seasonal temperatures. So we'll see. And I mean, it's a little bit early right now, but like I said, it does give us hope. We do see California getting a push of warmer weather too. It's just that entire Great Lakes region right now seems to be dominated with shot after shot of Arctic air. And the last thing I wanted to talk to you guys about was the Groundhog Day that occurred today. Depending on where you live, you have your own groundhog to look at. If you're like me in Ontario, Canada, you were paying attention to Wyerton Willie today, who did not see his shadow, which means we're going to have an early spring. Now, I find it a little ironic that the coldest part that has been experiencing so many consecutive days below zero says it's going to be an early spring. I mean, I'll take it, but I'm not going to believe it. I would keep my fingers crossed on that. And Punxsutawney Phil, you are saying that it's going to be 6 more weeks of winter. I would agree with that a little bit more. I think that's a little bit more accurate. The Staten Island Chuck, if I read right, predicted that it's going to be 6. Nope, sorry, I'm wrong about that. The Staten Island Chuck also said that it's going to be an early spring. Now, historically, Staten Island Chuck has been 85% accurate. So maybe there is something to it. Maybe it gives us something to look forward to if you're looking forward to spring temperatures and a bit of a warm-up. It has been a deep freeze here in the Great Lakes region. So I appreciate you guys being here with me today. I appreciate you being here for the Border City Kids podcast. We will come back tomorrow and hopefully we'll have an update on any other storms coming right now. But for the most part, it's fairly quiet. For the most part, it's fairly cold. If you have any questions, type them in the chat and I will try and get back to you. If you have any feedback or suggestions, I am new to weather forecasting, but I enjoy it. Please type them in the comments. Hit the like button, subscribe to my channel. I'm going to try and put forecasts out every single day. Unless, of course, nothing's really happening. And right now we seem to be on that trend, but it's just cold right now. So, thank you for joining me today. This is the Border City Kids podcast. I'm your host, Brian. I'll be back tomorrow with another forecast. Take care. Have a good one.